Hi, welcome to today's quick cast. I'm your host, Boiler Dowd. This is part of the Boiled Sports Handsome Hour podcast network.
Mom, thanks for watching.
As you probably know, this is sponsored by Martin Vintage, martinvintage.com, where you'll get retro Purdue t-shirts. Enter BOILED at checkout for 20% off. Last night, Purdue lost its first game in a 20-game period and dropped all the way to 23-3. You would have thought it was the end of the world, but it was a loss that put Purdue in a tie with Ohio State taking the tiebreaker in the Big Ten regular season race. Purdue will probably drop in ranking unless they beat Michigan State at East Lansing this coming Saturday. Purdue played very well on defense at times. Purdue played very well at offense at times. Purdue did not rebound well at all. I mean, it's one of those games where everyone wants to say something about failure. Everybody wants to say something about the reason for the loss. Haas didn't convert a dunk, and that's unusual because he played so damn well. He was really in charge of the game for big chunks of the time. He and Carson Edwards were offensive forces. Ohio State didn't have an answer for either of them for much of the game. But when he turned and had a wide open dunk, he missed it. The ball just looked like it slipped out of his hands and it banged off the back of the rim, and Purdue lost by 1 point. That's tough to swallow. I'm sure Haas thinks about that, but instead maybe you want to focus on all the points he scored and Ohio State's inability to completely control him. Carson Edwards played fantastic, nearly scored 30 points, didn't get to 30, really slowed down towards the end of the game. He was driving effectively, not taking shots that a lot of people don't like about Carson. He wasn't forcing things from deep, but at the end, he couldn't put it together, and he couldn't get a bucket when Purdue needed it. Dakota Mathias played fantastic defense all game on Kate's Diop, but at the end of the game was not able to shut down Ohio State. It's almost like the dam was flexing and just broke. Plus, a 50-50 ball, which is something Mathias almost always comes up with. Mathias couldn't grab the ball. And then Carson Edwards couldn't grab the ball in the same play. And then a couple plays later, Vince Edwards, who's been the best rebounder on Purdue's team, couldn't grab a rebound. All these things, plus Ohio State players hitting a couple shots they don't usually hit, led to the loss. It's not easy to swallow because Purdue would have been in the driver's seat for the Big Ten title. Purdue would have been in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed. Purdue would have been in the driver's seat maybe for a number 2 ranking in America because of the loss of Villanova last night to St. John's. But it didn't happen. And it's not the end of the world unless this is like one of those pivotal breaking points and the team falls apart. I don't think they're going to. I don't know if they're going to win in East Lansing. I think there's a good chance they can win. I think they're going to be super motivated now. But I just didn't feel great about this game coming into last week. My perspective changes a little bit. I feel better about it now because I really believe in these seniors and I believe they will buckle down, do what they're known to do, and really play strong basketball now. Now here's the deal. You guys all saw that Ralstin, I think that's his name, a 10-year-old with leukemia, came into the locker room after the game. I got 2 little ones. Well, a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. And this just seeing a little kid that was sick, who was a Purdue fan, broke my heart because I can relate with the parents. He wanted to see those Boilers. Those guys are special to him. This team's special to him. Probably because he's 10 and this is what he loves to watch. He's a Purdue fan. But those players, they really wanted him there, and they quickly understood the perspective of what was important. It wasn't the loss to Ohio State. It was the little boy who wanted to talk to him and wanted to spend a little time with a couple of his heroes. Those are good guys that we root for. I believe that. I believe that Painter's put together a team of guys that are likable. I've said this all season. They seem genuine. I hope they are. I know a couple of them, but I don't know all of them. But what I do know is they made that kid's day. And it's trite to say you play for someone, especially someone who's sick, who's fighting a real fight for his life. It minimizes his fight and maybe makes basketball seem more important than it is. But one thing I think the players can do after their meeting with Ty is be reminded that fighting through fatigue is something that is minor compared to the fight that young man is going through. Here's another thing that I might say if I were coaching these Boilermakers. I'd remind them, most of you guys have played together. The starters have played together for 4 years. Time is limited, guys. A couple things motivate people when they play sports. Fear can motivate you, can be a great motivator. Fear of failure, but love can motivate you too. This may sound weird, but love for the guy next to you can motivate you to play in your best because you don't want to see him fail either. You don't want to see him lose. And I don't think any of these guys really want to see a loss, obviously. I think they care. But just reminding them of the idea that they're playing for the guy next to them, they're playing for their buddies in the crowd, fellow students, and they're playing for Ty. A lot of basketball left to be played, guys. It's been a fun season. Let's not diminish the fact that this has been really enjoyable. The last 19 games have been incredible. It's a historic, unprecedented run by Purdue University basketball. A program that's had a lot of success just did something that's never done before in a positive way. Don't lose that. This team, these guys, the coach, you may have a hard time with Painter at times. I do. I've admitted it. There are some things that when he sees pressure, I think the players see it too, the way he reacts to it. But he's a pretty damn good coach. And guys who aren't good coaches don't do what he just did and what he's been doing with this team. Big Ten champs. They're still reigning Big Ten champs. And they got to be knocked off. This isn't over. Ohio State, I think, has another loss in them. And even if they don't, I got to be honest, I've got my eyes on a bigger picture as a fan. I want this team to do something that we haven't seen in a long, long time, something we haven't seen since I was 5 years old. I want this team to go to a Final Four. I want them to go to a Final 8, break through that Sweet 16 ceiling. Regardless, it's one loss. Let's see what these guys do. Keep the faith, hammer down, go Boilers, and thanks for tuning in today. I'm Boiler Dow. BS all the time.